Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of OAF Discussions. I am Kid Swift.
This is Thoroughbred Webb.
And on the Skype line, we have... What am I going to call you? Just Jake?
Yeah, just say Jake. Yeah, that's
All
fine.
right.
Yeah.
On the Skype line, we got Jake and LL Cool B. LL Cool B is playing flag football right now, I think. So he's going to be chiming in. Power of technology. We can podcast from anywhere. But yeah, so we are back another week, another awesome week, another crazy week of news. Of course, a bunch of shit happened. All of us saw the Avengers, so that's going to be a big focus of this week's episode. So just so you guys go ahead and get out the way now. If you haven't seen it yet, you might want to turn this shit off.
So are we spoiling it?
Turn that shit off now.
Well, I mean, we might have to. There's going to be some parts we're probably going to have to bring up, so there's probably going to be some spoilers in there. And I know if anybody out there who's watching is like me, they won't want to hear anything, any little details or tidbits or anything like that. So,
All right.
but yeah, so just a fair warning, there might be some significant spoilers in the episode. So yeah, if you want to bounce now and come back when you see the movie, feel free, because we're about to tear this shit up.
I think we should try to call them ahead of time. It's like, hey, so, and I like, especially like when spoiler, and then like,
Yeah, we'll
like tag them.
We'll tag the spoilers that way. At least you guys will know in some respects what's going to go down. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Avengers, what we thought about it, break it down, unpack the hell out of it. And then we're also going to talk about, of course, like we said last week, every time we talk about something on the show, something else significant about that topic, it usually happens like literally the day after. And that's what happened this time because the full Suicide Squad has been revealed. So we're also going to talk about
Class
that.
of 16.
Right, yeah. Suicide Squad, class of 16. So yeah, we're going to talk about that as well and kind of unpack it. And by that time, we'll probably fill up our full normal time. But yeah, I think let's start. You want to start with the Suicide Squad? We'll start.
Yeah,
we'll start with Avengers.
Yeah.
We'll start with All right. So yeah, we're gonna start with Avengers and then we'll work our way through it.
Nothing against, not like a Marvel DC thing. Say no, let's put Marvel first. No,
no, because then in most cases you would put it last if you liked it better, but whatever.
Or alphabetically.
Well, yeah, it's true. So yeah, all of us have seen the Suicide Squad picture, full reveal, whatever you want to call it, costumes. I saw it. As soon as I saw the announcement, I looked at it, and the main person...
Did you just switch to the Suicide Squad picture?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm supposed to be talking about Avengers. Sorry, I'm tripping.
Fuck it.
Sorry, no, we're going to talk about the Avengers. I'll save the Suicide Squad thing. I'm tripping. I'm losing my mind. All right, we're going to talk about the Avengers. Save the Suicide Squad thing. Don't talk about the Suicide Squad. All right, so, yeah, saw the Avengers actually last night because I knew I had to see it before the show today. So I went to see it.
Slacking.
What'd you say?
Slacking.
What?
You got a slacking. Supposed to see it Thursday night like everybody else.
No, I didn't have that opportunity. I had to wait and see it now, and it was cool because it wasn't as busy, and I didn't have to deal with all the bullshit y'all probably had to deal with. We talked about this last week on the episode. I don't like to deal with all them damn people, so I wanted to see it in generally not a packed theater, which it worked out, but whatever. But yeah, so I went to see it last night. First off, just from blunt, just straight out, I enjoyed the movie. It was good. I enjoyed pretty much all of it. But breaking down like specific stuff, I guess you could say, James Spader's performance as Ultron, ridiculous, awesome, amazing. I kind of wanted to see how they were going to do it because obviously just his voice is easily recognizable. You can kind of pull it out and be like, okay, it's pretty badass, it's awesome. But they must have did mocap for his like mannerisms and like the way he carries himself because Ultron performed digitally, obviously, like James Spader would perform in any of his other roles. Like he had the same like that head tilt shit that James Spader always does. There were little like hand gestures, mouth movements, like that kind of stuff was like exactly spot on the way like James Spader would do it, and it was awesome. It fit perfectly. But yeah, that was like one of the main things, I guess you could say, one of the high points of the whole movie. Another thing that kind of like people haven't really talked about, everybody's been like, I like the movie, it's great, I love it, it's awesome, it's amazing, it's kind of like the general consensus I've heard. But one of the other things that like I heard once and didn't really think about it until I saw the movie, but the movie's funny. like consistently funny like throughout. There's like multiple parts where I was like laughing out loud, like funny, and that was kind of like generally the way it was in the theater. Like everybody was like cracking up like constantly, and we expect that kind of shit, especially from like Iron Man, obviously from Robert Downey Jr.'s character, from him playing Tony Stark in the past. Like we know the way his timing is and stuff like that, but just it seemed like everybody, the whole team was kind of like on the same page. They definitely pulled off the fact that like, okay, we've gotten comfortable with each other, we've been working together for a while. Sometimes we're butting heads, but also other times we're just kind of like goofing off and messing with each other. And I mean, that shined through. One of the best parts was when like that whole team kind of like just casualness shined through, was like when they were trying to do the hammer lift test thing, which was awesome, which was a good part. And then the whole part where they went away, spoilers, when they had to go away to Hawkeye's home, his homestead, his
home planet.
Yeah, his home planet, yeah, of Earth. But when they had to go away for that, and then they kind of went away, and those, even though there was still some tension going on in like such a pivotal moment of the movie where they kind of had to like pick themselves back up, but there was still like that sense that like everybody had been around each other for a while. There was a lot of stuff. It kind of put Hawkeye in the spotlight where like in the last Avengers movie, like from the jump, like it even kind of poked fun at that. The fact that like he was basically hypnotized half the movie and he didn't really get to like really shine into that end part. But like in this movie, they kind of like put him in as like he is representative of the audience. Like he's the human kind of character, and he kind of represents an audience. Like when his wife was talking to him and she says like he's like, yeah, we're like, they're a mess, and then he was like, they're my mess. Like that's kind of like putting him in that role. There's always a character in most films where there's obviously like the crazy shit and the characters that are rolling around on the film, and then there's always like a character that like usually the audience is like pretty much can directly relate with or put in their shoes. He doesn't have superpowers, he's just damn good aim, he's awesome. Like there were multiple times where like they even made it funny, like
And he has a bow and arrow.
What'd you say?
And none of this and he has a bow and arrow, and none of this makes sense.
Exactly, yeah, that was exactly what I was gonna say. Like he pointed that out, like this doesn't make any sense. This shit's batshit crazy, but we're all here and we're all trying to fix this shit and get it together. But yeah, I think that was like just a couple of my highlights, like that I really enjoyed. As far as negative things, I can't really think of too much, honestly. It obviously didn't have the same, like I said, it won't have the same impact as it did the first time around, seeing all these characters that we know and love for the first time on the screen together. That was like a moment that you can't have twice. And that was apparent. Like that was there. There was that moment at the beginning where they kind of tried to like reinforce that, like, hey, it's your favorite group of guys again. And like, what do they get into next? Like it kind of had that moment at the beginning, but it wasn't as powerful as it was last time. But still at the same time, it was kind of like, oh, kind of that sigh of relief where like, oh, this is familiar. We're back. We're in a familiar place. This feels right. Cool. It's awesome. But yeah, I've rambled on far too much. But what did you? I'll let Jake. I want Jake to go first. Jake, what did you think of the movie? Like just in general, like across the board, whatever.
Like overall, I thought it was good. Obviously,
yeah.
I actually think it's probably as good as the first one. I know I've talked to a few people. They think the first one's still the one to beat.
Sure.
I really like this one. And like you said, there was comedy all throughout the whole thing. And yeah, I actually like the whole thing.
Right.
It was a good movie.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of been like the way it's been. Like, yeah, a lot of people have still been saying like the first one was the one to beat, but I think this one did a really good job of keeping up with it and kind of showing us too.
I'm excited where it's going to go to next, but I'm assuming we're going to get into that. That's what I'm pretty much waiting on.
Right, exactly. It was funny because like when I was talking to you and LL the other day, when y'all were talking about when he said, should we tell him who shows up? And like it was funny because like I pretty much knew like the cast and like had been keeping up with like every bit of like the shooting details, so I knew War Machine was in it. Spoilers, I guess. I knew like I knew all those people were in it. I knew those people were in it, but it was funny when you said that, when you guys said that initially to me, I was like, is Black Panther gonna show up in this motherfucker? And then there was like this, there was like moments throughout the entire movie where I was kind of like getting like super hyped. And one of the main parts where it happened was like when Cap and what's the name, were having a conversation. If you guys hear that, that's Brett playing flag football in the background. LL.
First spoilers, then you're giving identities away. Shit.
God dang it. Anyways, shut up. You knew I was gonna do that. I haven't did it in a while. But when Cap and Iron Man and Tony Stark kind of got in that conversation where they were like, oh shit. Like Tony Stark was like, damn. And then he was like, Cap was like, I thought you used all of it, or I thought you got rid of all of it. And I was like, they're talking about the metal. They're talking about the metal. I was like, that means they have to go to Africa. I was like, this is gonna be it. Black Panther's gonna show up, and I started getting like.
They mentioned the place in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had to go there, like for that whole sequence.
They weren't in Wakanda.
Well, yeah, they weren't in Wakanda.
Clear this up.
They mentioned it.
So yeah, that's where I got confused. That's where I got confused.
They did mention Wakanda a bunch of times.
Yeah, they did.
However, they did not go to Wakanda. Oh. They were in I want to say Johannesburg, but that can't be right.
Like, that's what I was thinking. It was like South Africa.
I'm pretty sure it was South Africa, but it was not Wakanda. Just because they were in Africa and you saw skyscrapers and not huts and shit does not mean that they were in Wakanda. Wakanda is going to look way bigger and way more elaborate than that because that's a technologically advanced city.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be miles ahead of like New York, miles ahead of the LA or Moscow or London or any of that shit.
Right, yeah.
So just because you saw buildings and not little villages, that's not every city in Africa. That's not everywhere in Africa.
Right. Now see, that kind of threw me off because the way they set up the language, like the way they were talking about it, and then they like the next scene they were like they had to go to Africa. So I was like, is this just the location? And I kind of assumed that it was at first because I didn't think about it because then at that point, obviously that's one of the biggest fight scenes. So I'm just sitting there like, oh.
and if they were to go to Wakanda, clearly, somebody's slipping. Yeah, sleeping on the job. Like Black Panther sitting there just like, you just gonna let all these motherfuckers in your city and not just gonna like no.
Right. Exactly.
So clearly, no, it was not Wakanda at all.
Right.
It was not.
Now, with that said, what did you think about it?
Oh, it's my turn now.
Yeah. I'll let you
all right. Yeah, seeing as I'm interjecting everybody. All right. First impression. Avengers Age of Ultron is good. I liked it.
Yep.
It did not blow me away.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, with that said, let me go ahead and get into details regarding things I liked, things I didn't like.
Right.
First and foremost, Ultron. I love this villain almost a little bit more than I liked than Loki in the first Avengers. He just oozed charisma, like James Spader and the motion capture performance and all that good stuff. It just, as far as him being a physical threat compared to Loki, he was kind of second fiddle to the whole invasion anyway in the first movie.
Right.
So Ultron was the number one. He was the main boss. He was the guy to beat, and he was putting each of the Avengers putting them through it.
Right.
As far as obstacles, as far as just straight up confrontation, all of that good stuff. Not only was he a physical threat, but he just also had the personality that kind of just came out, that actually made this character interesting, I was kind of afraid of Ultron just more or less being just a straight up robot and just kind of bland.
Right. Yeah.
But it just threw me way off for him to sit there and just come up with quips and one-liners and all this.
Yeah.
Pretty much beating Iron Man, or pretty much beating Tony Stark to the punch on a lot of punchlines and stuff. So that was kind of
that part where they literally did that.
Yeah, he literally beat him by 1 second.
Yeah.
So that was cool right there. As far as you can tell, you could tell that he's Tony Stark's creation. But with that whole, I don't want to say Oedipus complex because that comes out weird.
Yeah.
As far as hating his creators, as far as just having this huge resentment towards Tony Stark, and having that motivation, and his motivation was a little bit more, I don't want to say altruistic. Well, it was more altruistic than Loki's. Loki's, I just want to rule this weak ass planet over here.
Right. Yeah.
Ultron is I'm trying to protect the planet. If it involves killing a whole bunch of people, then so be it.
Right.
If it involves killing every people, then so be it.
All the people. Right.
I'm doing my job.
Right.
But so yeah, I kind of liked his motivations more. I liked his personality more. I liked the fact that he was a physical threat way more than Loki in the first Avengers.
Right.
So that's Ultron out the way for me. Damn, notifications. I don't even know if that was me. All right. Next up, I love how they included secondary and new characters in this one.
Yeah.
Spoiler, they had War Machine in there. They had Falcon in there.
Yeah.
And then I just started thinking about it when they both showed up. I was like, hey, look who's here. Hey, look who's here. Wait a minute. Why are the second commands black in their respective shows or respective movies? That just threw me. It was.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I remember.
I was like, wait a minute. It's like he's playing second fiddle. He's playing second fiddle. So Hulk better not come up with with Grey Hulk talking jive.
Now they talked about that.
Yeah, that was they were wanting to include Grey Hulk, but that kind of wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah.
As far as what happened in the movie,
right?
For him to change his appearance like it is.
Yeah.
But look, I love that Falcon and War Machine were in there. I love that. Well, I don't really care too much for Maria Hill, honestly. But I mean, she's there, so bring the Agents of Shield. Hey, Jake. So there's that element to it. I love that. Well, War Machine kind of had more of a role in this movie than Falcon did, which kind of.
I was gonna say if I was Wilson, Falcon would have done something as well on that scene, but.
See, that's what threw me off too. Like I could have, like when they did the whole thing where it was like, okay, War Machine pulls up and starts wrecking shit. I was like, okay, proceed. I was like, go ahead. Like this is your opportunity. Where the freak is Falcon at? Like he could have been there for like literally 5 seconds, and that would have been enough.
Right.
It just didn't make sense that he didn't show up at all at that point.
Right.
Like where the hell was he at? Like,
right, and even War Machine barely got to do anything because he kind of got outshined by a particular robot. He decided to take his glory.
Well, yeah, that was funny. I like that part. He was like, "What the hell was?" Like he was like, "What the hell was that?" Like that was a good way for his first time seeing Vision. That worked.
Yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, even 5 seconds would have been nice.
Yeah,
that made no sense for only one Avenger to not do shit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
In the third final act, or the final act, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
That made no real sense to me.
I feel like there's got to be deleted scenes.
Hopefully.
Of him in there. It has to be. That doesn't make sense.
I mean, especially if he was going to help. I mean, at least help out with the evacuation.
Yeah, exactly. He could just they could have did something simple where like a kid was about to get, I don't know, crushed or fall. Yeah, and he could have just swooped in. Like that would have been enough.
Everybody gets one.
Right, everybody gets one. Yeah, that'd have been enough. I'd have been fine with that. But it was weird that he wasn't, because literally that whole time I was like, all right, cool. Where? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, as for the new characters, we're after secondary characters. The new characters, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I really like how they slipped in there that they weren't human. Like Captain America called them enhanced.
Yeah.
I like that they were trying. It's like we can't say mutant, otherwise we'll get sued.
Yeah.
So there's an enhanced here.
Yeah.
There's another enhanced.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of funny that Captain America would say that, because he's kind of enhanced anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Performance enhanced.
Right.
If you will. Their motivations, as far as in this movie, were I wouldn't say they're very strong motivations, but they were sufficient to move the plot along. I'll say that much.
Gotcha.
As far as why they hate the Avengers and why they want to go after the Avengers,
I
get it.
That makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as for them to make as huge of a turnaround as they did,
I mean, I guess it kind of worked, the fact that
as long as it moved the plot along.
Yeah, it moved the plot along, but at the same time, you got to think something so extreme. If it would have just been it would have been even worse if it was like, oh, if Ultron just wanted to capture Tony Stark. Or no, if they just wanted to capture Tony Stark and kind of rough him up a bit. And then Ultron was
they
like,
wanted to kill him.
No, that's what I'm saying. But then like Ultron was like, okay, we'll say that. We'll say like if they wanted to, like, oh, we want to kill Tony Stark to get back at him. And then Ultron was like, well, I want to kill him and then pee on his body. Like then if they were like, whoa, that's a little much.
It was more like this. It's
then if they turned around off that, but you gotta understand. Like,
so we want to kill Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with their accents, by the way. Well, I don't have a problem with their accents based on their last names. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does
especially
make sense.
from in the comics and in the movie where they are.
Right. Yeah.
As compared to X-Men: Days of Future Past, where the guy's just American. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So we can't have all the superheroes.
Yeah.
So at this point, as far as their motivation, so that we want to kill Tony Stark, and Ultron's like, well, I want to kill Tony Stark, and everyone else on the planet.
Then it's like,
it was like,
whoa,
oh well, okay, I think we have to agree to disagree on some shit here.
Yeah, we gotta break this down. I can understand.
He didn't start off that way though.
What'd you say?
He didn't start off that way. He did change his plan.
Well, yeah, that is true, and they kind of kept.
It escalated, I'll say.
Yeah.
His Ultron's motivation, I'd say, escalated.
And that was the thing that kind of even Tony tried to like bring up to like Ultron, and that was one of Ultron's like kind of like, I guess you could say, mentally vulnerable moments where he was kind of like, you don't even know like what you're willing to do, like you don't even like see it, and then he's like, I don't. Shut up. Like he was kind of like whatever, like he kind of had that moment where Tony was like, dude, you're gonna kill everybody, like you don't realize how fucked up that is,
like a stubborn teenager.
Yeah, and he was almost like, well, whatever, it has to be done, stupid. That was kind of like the way it was. The one moment where Ultron seemed like not the most intelligent in the room when he didn't even kind of like realize that, oh yeah,
I may not have thought this through.
Yeah, like, oh shit, like this might be bad. But I do like, now that was another thing, like the whole, they were kind of going back and forth and they were trying to figure out, like, because we've done this mass villain thing multiple times in every Bond movie, every Mission Impossible movie, all the superhero movies so far, and I keep getting scared that they're going to run out of ways for the main bad guy to want to destroy everything or take over everything. This was original. I'm going to take a chunk of the earth and basically fuse it together, and then I'm gonna drop it. Sorry, whatever.
I gotta.
We'll just
chime
in the title.
What was you gonna say?
I gotta chime in now. They're never ever gonna run out of ways to destroy the world. Because all you gotta do is look at the newspaper, history book, and then they're gonna just make that times, 1,000 and try to destroy it. I did like that he was like, spoiler. Just say it now. Spoiler.
That's too late.
Can I do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're trying to be spoiler free. All right. That he was like the dinosaurs, and then in the middle of it, I was like, this motherfucker turned into Darth Vader. He was like, hope that the plans have changed.
Right.
We're not just gonna kill the Avengers. I'm gonna murk everybody. And I was like, this turned into what was it, iRobot?
Yeah.
Or it turned into that real quick. He was like, you know what? Just me and my brother,
right.
Me and the robots are gonna take over the planet. I was like, you ain't helping shit anymore. But I did like him as a villain in this. I'm just gonna throw my 10 cents in now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like Ultron as a villain. I'm with you, Webb. I was glad he wasn't just like cookie cutter. He was actually like a threat, both somewhat physically and like mastermind of the game,
right.
kind of thing. But don't you say bad things about Bond, man. Don't you do it.
I'm not.
Bond 24 coming out.
That's my shit.
All right, my bad. Y'all keep going.
All right. No, but
I like the movie.
Yeah.
Second Fiddle, I didn't even realize that till now. That shit had me laughing for a bit. What did y'all think of Tony Stark's like big dilemma? Like, was that like a nice nuance for the movie? Like, the idea of like trying to protect something so much that you end up destroying it yourself.
That nuance right there, as far as his motivation or what prompted his motivation, well, fuck it. We've already spilled spoilers as it is. As far as when it's like we've all been doing it. So yeah. As far as with Scarlet Witch in his head and giving him the idea of, wait, what if we all don't, or say, what if we all don't survive? Who's going to sit there and protect the planet? And him trying to create this alternative, such as Ultron, as just kind of, you know, what's that saying? Good intentions? No, it's like the path to hell is paved by good intentions, or something like that. Something along those lines. Yeah. So that also, you know, him going behind everyone's back to create the Ultron program, also kind of plant seeds, which actually adding in there, I kind of felt the movie got a little cluttered, but only because they had to plant seeds for the following movies, such as Captain America 3: Civil War. Yeah. You could tell that, you know, they Captain America and Iron Man were, you know, back and forth bickering or joking around and this, that, and the other. But when it came time for some serious issues to discuss, they kind of butted heads pretty hard. Yeah. Especially when it came time for especially right before the debut of Vision. Yeah. So, as far as Tony trying to make amends for the Ultron program, I could probably see him taking some steps regarding Civil War, regarding maybe like I don't know how far they're going to stick to the comics with like the Superhero Registration Act or things of that nature. And then with Captain America, how he more or less started siding or more or less converted the Maximovs or got them motivated to do good. Right. And as far as him being able to rally other people, so and him being able to rally people and Tony Stark almost distancing himself from everybody regarding his actions, and, you know, going behind everybody's back to do this, you're going behind everyone's back to prompt this situation to happen. Right. So you can already see the seeds being planted as far as Captain America and Iron Man butting heads when it comes time to go against each other. Right. So there's that.
That was good. That was one thing that, like, I like that they did, because even me and Jake, we talked about this. Like you were saying, you were saying you were surprised that, like, they didn't end on, like, this note where they were basically, like, almost
at each other's throat.
Yeah, at each other's throat, or like mid-swing, I guess is like kind of like hypothetical way to put it. But I think one of the best ways they did it was they did it really subtly. Is like at the end when they had that last little conversation, Cap was like, you know, I'm really gonna miss you, Tony. And not even like saying like I'm gonna miss you like we're going away. It's like I'm gonna miss you because I'm not gonna see this same Tony Stark for a long time, because we're going to be at each other's necks so hard. And I think they did that intentionally. The way they wrote that last scene was like, I'm going to miss you, like I'm going to miss this Tony Stark. And obviously he doesn't realize that he's saying, I don't think he knows, like obviously I don't think he has hindsight like, oh, this shit's going to hit the fan, because nobody has any like whiffs of the Superhero Registration Act and all that stuff yet, obviously. But I think that was a good way of the writers putting it in there for the audience, and then for the people that know about the comics and know what's coming left, of like Cap's kind of saying like, I'm not going to see this Tony Stark for a long time. Even though we're going to see each other again very soon, shit's not going to be the same like for a while until we get back to the Infinity War. And yeah, until they basically are almost forced to like look, we've got to band together or shit, like Thanos is going to fuck everybody up. So I like that. I like that a lot. Another like line I guess in there that I really liked back on Ultron, but he was talking about how like every so often God throws a stone and he's winding up. Like that was one of the lines I was like, fuck. Like,
oh yeah, that also threw me off how religious Ultron was.
He was. That was crazy.
That was weird.
It.
It was a nice little sense of irony.
And the thing is like, I like looking at that shit, and because like I like looking at the shit like on one grain of salt of just like looking at it like, okay, this is awesome the way it's being done, the way it's been written. But then I like to look at it on like a kind of like, not like a conspiracy theorist type way of looking at it, but like you have this machine so biblically invested that he's willing to destroy this thing that God has made, like on a biblical sense. When you talking about okay, it gets crazy, but it's like it's interesting because like, you know, like when you see stuff like that, most likely the writers had that same thought flow through their head. Like look at it, like okay, look at this line I'm writing, like, and then somebody else might have read it. The writer initially might not even thought about it, but then the other writer like looks at him like, that's crazy that like a robot is saying so much biblical stuff.
Yeah.
This whole machines versus technology type thing, like this whole machines versus like history versus like man versus all this stuff, and that I thought that was interesting, and like it makes, I think more so than anything, like just for me, it makes a movie that some people just look at on the outside as, oh, it's just a popcorn summer blockbuster blowing up shit type movie. But if you look into it, even in these movies, because it is something that I like, so I kind of have a bias, but there are good, real issues and topics being discussed in there. It's just got this really crazy, glossy, firework colored wrapper around it. And you got it. Once you get through that, once the smoke clears, you're going to be like, that's crazy how you said that. That's crazy how you said that. And I mean, that's kind of just, I mean, that's my film nut side too, like going off. But I thought that was interesting. Like you said, it threw me off too initially. Like, he was very biblical for a fucking robot. Like, he was a robot. But I guess when you got access to all knowledge, as far as like on earthly knowledge digitized, then you're gonna see some shit and you're gonna form his own opinions, which is basically what he did, because he was true artificial intelligence, which was dope. But yeah, I liked Vision too. I mean, we didn't really talk about it too much, but yeah. I like the way he, like I said, I was one of the few people in the theater that, like, when he jumped out, spoilers, whatever. When he jumped out of his canister thing and like he landed up there and he looked up, I was like, oh shit. And then it was perfect because they timed it perfectly, because it was just like they had that moment where like it was like, oh shit, and then like for the people that don't know who the Vision is, they was like, oh, this might go bad. And then all of a sudden, right after that, they kind of whip everybody back around 180 degrees with that funny moment where he hands Thor his hammer and everybody
hands
like,
it to him.
Yeah,
he just
Thor's like,
if you're down with me, it was like, yeah, just like, I can't even remember what the hell he said.
He said something.
And then he just turned around and stood there and just like,
yeah, here's your hammer.
Everybody was just like there was a lot of gasps. I love that. I love that reaction. I wish I was with the midnight crowd just to see how that would have went down.
I did get to hear that, and everybody was like that.
Did everybody freaked out when they saw that part?
Yeah, there was a gasp and the laughing at that part.
Yeah, see, that's awesome. Like, I even like that whole scene. I was kind of cracking up a little bit at, just because like from when he first came out to when he finally like walked back over to him, like when he formed his cape and stuff, he looked at Thor and was like, that's a good look, and then he kind of like took it, and then he had his hammer. So it was kind of these moments of like him kind of like mimicking Thor for a second and then
just kind of
going with it.
Because I guess kind of being not inspired, but kind of inspired, or like kind of a little bit of an admiration for Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially seeing as how technically he was the lightning that kind of brought the Frankenstein to life at this point in time.
Woke him up, yeah. And they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, they kind of freaked out on him. But I thought that was good, and I thought like even like his dialogue was awesome too. I really liked the Vision's dialogue, because especially when he was talking about like, they were like, "Are you gonna help us? Are you with us?" type thing, and he was like, "I don't want to kill Ultron, but the way he's acting and his mentality, that's the only option." So it was never like the Vision.
Him kind of showed how side he was on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it kind of it left it open, but it didn't like, it wasn't that generic moment of like, oh, this kind of like, I guess you could say, pun intended, Jack in the Box moment where they kind of figure it out and get this extra help that springs to life, and they're like, I'm on you guys' side. He was kind of like, he said, I'm for life. That was his exact words.
I don't even know whose side I'm on.
Yeah, he said, but I'm for life, and Ultron is obviously against that, so I'm against him. So it was awesome. It's kind of like leaves him open too, where the Vision, like, if you on the wrong side of the fence one day or another, the Vision could fuck you up. And he definitely could, like, obviously. Like, I forget how powerful he is until, like, obviously since, like, comic books, has been forever since I've looked into, like, him comic books wise. But seeing him, like, in action, it's like, man, if you think about what he's made of, like, on a cellular level, he's made what he's made of. And then his powers along with it, it's like, gee, like, dude, like,
it's almost OP. And I really didn't care for the fact that, like, a lot of people or a lot of commenters were like, well, where the hell is, like, well, I don't really care how they, or I'm not too crazy about how they just introduced a new character in the third act. And I was like, no, he wasn't introduced. No. Like, the groundwork has been laid since literally Iron Man 1.
Yep.
It's been there. Jarvis, exactly.
It was the same dude.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet it's probably a kick for him to finally go like, "Hey, everybody, that was me."
And when I looked at him finally, because I've never looked like at the actors, for some reason I've never seen. I think I have a long time ago, but I never thought about it. Have you seen Formula 51? That movie with Samuel Jackson where he makes those peels?
No, I haven't.
That's the British, like, wild-haired, like, kind of pale guy. The guy that was in shit.
I saw him I remember him from Priest.
Priest. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's the guy. And
yeah.
Angels and Demons, the one, the.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's who I thought it was. But when I saw him, I was like, wow, that's dope. What?
Because they made a sci-fi show based on that movie. Yeah, with the one with with angels. No, it wasn't called Da Vinci Code. Because he was supposed to be an angel, and God just decided, you know what, fuck humans, and just killed them, or was trying to kill them, God, what was that movie called? So it was. So I've seen him in two different movies.
Yeah, I've seen him in I've seen him in Formula 51. I've seen him in Priest, and I've seen him in Angels and Demons. But yeah, that's awesome. Like finally seeing him, like being able to take his.
Spot. Angels and Demons was the Da Vinci Code movie.
That was the second.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. I'm
gonna figure this out.
Even like something simple, like as far as like things I like the whole like romantic thing between like between Hulk and Black Widow.
It was Legion.
The
movie was Legion.
Yes, I remember that movie.
Okay. That kind of felt tacked on a little.
I mean, it was tacked on, but I like the only thing that made me not the only reason it didn't kind of pick with me is because it never went all the way. It was so close, and then it was like, nope. You gotta realize this shit ain't fucking for this. It's not for love. Like this shit gets real, so we can't do this. And I like his little part where he was sitting on the plane, his big ass in that plane, small ass guy. A bunch of people was laughing at that part. Like that was one of the parts I don't think they intended to be funny, but when they showed that that wide shot and you just see Hulk kind of like sitting Indian style in the front of this tiny plane, like people were like, haha, it's stupid.
I will say that with that dynamic between Black Widow and Hulk, I like at the very beginning when the mission was more or less over, how they kind of had like this little code word or like this programming thing going on to where they would calm them down and have them turn back. Other than that, it just kind of felt unnecessary. I mean, not everything needs a romantic subplot. Not every, it felt. I mean, as far as the chemistry's there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But the need or the necessity for it in the movie, it didn't. No.
That to me is a commercial thing. Like that makes sense for not for the comic book guys like us who have like known every piece of this storyline from backwards and forwards, but that's for like the people who have never read a comic book, who just see this action movie and they're like, let's throw in another element for the other people.
Not even action fans are crazy about that, honestly.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, like,
well, no, I'm not saying they're a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
like, a casual moviegoer. I mean, if you're going into a sequel and wanting a romantic subplot just out of nowhere, then you're not.
It's been building a little bit again.
Not between them. I mean, like as far as like in the beginning, or as far as with the first movie, she was scared as fuck at him.
Well, true. Yeah,
especially once he sit there and turned and everything too, and like almost backhanded the fuck out of her.
Oh man, that was crazy. Yeah, that was awesome. I like that.
Before Thor intervened. So to go from that to where she's just straight up terrified of him, to sitting there wanting to, it's like I'm right there with you. We're both monsters and all this other shit. This is like,
you don't know my shit.
I get it, but no, this wasn't necessary. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Action scenes were good. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
There's a couple good slow-mo moments. I enjoed. Nice combos.
Yeah.
Especially between Thor and Cap. They kept like doing these crazy combos.
You can tell they were practicing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like they figured it out.
Hey man, once I get through with the gym, we're gonna sit there and well, I can't say hoop it because none of them have a fucking
right,
it's a hammer and a shield.
Right. Yeah.
How the hell do you like casualize that?
I don't know. Play frisbee or something like that. That was interesting. It was the crazy thing was I liked how they did that. How they like made that work with the combos and stuff like that, and then like made it happen, and then kind of like made it go, and then made it do its thing. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, we'll move on.
Actually, before you go, I am interested to hear how y'all think it's going to play into the Civil War. Like, how do you think Tony and Rogers are going to end up facing each other? Like, one on different sides. Like, what event?
As far as my thoughts regarding how Civil War is going to go about, it's kind of, well, let me just go ahead back to what I was saying earlier. Here, Tony is going behind everyone's back to come up with a backup plan for everyone involved without getting everyone involved. And so obviously that rubbed, well, as Thor was about to chokeslam Tony, that rubbed him the wrong way. That rubbed Captain America the wrong way. And also the fact that when they were creating Vision, that was still...
He did it in...
It's another thing he was sitting there going behind the Avengers' back to do.
Yeah.
And obviously you saw like a little bit of a skirmish between Captain America, Iron Man. Banner didn't turn just yet, so I wonder how that would have went down.
Yeah.
If Thor didn't intervene. But
right.
So there you go. You can kind of just off of that right there. And then I can't remember the dialogue that took place during the log cutting scene between Captain America and Tony. I love that little dynamic where like you didn't see it, but like Captain America was just knocking him out the way, just knocking him out the park, and then Tony was just being slow and methodical.
Yeah.
And then when they got into a heated argument, like Captain America sit there, just grabbed a log and sit there and just ripped it in half with his bare hands, just off of being pissed. And then Tony went to go leave, and it was like. He said, "Don't take from my pile." And then he had like maybe 7 cut up, and then Captain America had 35 just in his own. But anyway,
that was another one of my favorite.
That was a nice little funny part. But yeah, you can tell they can get along. They have chemistry when it comes time to fighting crime. Yeah. However, you're starting to notice when it comes time to discuss issues how differently they stand. And hell, you could even tell in the first Avengers.
Yeah.
When the Scepter was messing with everyone's mind as far as getting them or making them hostile towards each other. The first 2 people to go at each other was Captain America and Tony.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then I'm sure there's going to be maybe like one last straw or something that just takes everything to a whole different level.
Yeah.
Once Captain America 3 Civil War rolls around.
Right.
That's supposed to be Chris Evans' last movie, isn't it?
Nah.
Yeah, I think that already happened though. Like I think that fight between Iron Man and Hulk, since we're already doing spoilers, is pretty much shot to hell already.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much going to be the spark, and they're going to like come out with that registration act, and then that's when they're going to start choosing sides.
Right. Yeah.
And like you said,
yeah, that makes sense.
Like you said, everybody's already on Captain America's side for what he's been doing throughout the movies, going behind everybody's back.
Right.
He's only gonna have like that little small pile of people. Like I think that probably symbolized how many people are gonna be on his side versus Captain America's.
Right.
And then this whole Spider-Man thing being introduced, I know he's supposed to be caught in the middle of it. And I think that's how they're gonna introduce him as well.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be fighting for like against each other, trying to figure out who's gonna get him on what side.
Right. And they said they were very close to putting him in this movie. Like it was very close.
Yeah, I heard he was supposed to have like a scene or something.
Yeah.
That they wanted to put him in, but they just hadn't worked out the deal yet.
Right. And I feel like that probably would have been our post-credit sequence.
Yeah.
And that's probably why there wasn't one really. Spoilers, I guess, but that saved you some fucking time, so shut up. From walking out. That's why I sent y'all a message. Like literally when it was about to end, I text y'all and I was like, "Is there a post-credit sequence?" Because Anaya's with me and I don't want to make her wait any longer.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. And it was funny. People were sitting down and like waiting, and I wanted to be like, "There's nothing to see here. Everybody leave."
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
What's funny is that you saw people sitting there and we were like, "There's not gonna be anything." We looked it up. Sat there anyways.
Yeah, but
it was worth it just to hear everybody that was still sitting there go, "Oh."
Yeah. Because they got me twice. They got me on the first Avengers, the mid-credit scene with Thanos. So I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, that must be it. And I sit there, walked out. And then I found out there was another scene. It was a stupid ass shawarma scene, but whatever.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that there was another scene,
Right.
pissed me. Yeah, and I missed it.
Put Shawarma on the map with that one though.
What's that?
Put Shawarma on the map with that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I missed the Thor, the end credit scene for Thor.
Yeah.
And that one was probably better than Avengers. It was still kind of like pointless. So, but yeah, the fact that it's like, oh man, they got me twice.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man 3 came out after Thor 2. Is that right?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
So. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I sit there and stayed for Iron Man 3. And they had something going on. Captain America, I don't think Winter Soldier I don't remember Winter Soldier having one.
I don't think it did.
I don't remember sticking around for that
I'm
either.
positive it didn't.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
I
that.
don't think it did.
And then so they're off and on with this, and it's pissing me off. I don't want to sit there and stick around
Yeah.
while the theater people are sitting there sweeping up around me. And I was like, no, it's cool. I'll wait. Lights cut on. No, wait. No, there's still something else. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, we work here. We would know.
I'm sweeping between your feet. Would you move, please? Like, Jesus. But, I mean, back on the point where you said, like, the next one's Chris Evans' last movie, that would almost make sense if they're going to do the Bucky takeover thing.
Yeah.
Because they kept hinting at that still, and that wouldn't make sense for them to continuously hint at, like, okay, I'm still chasing down these cold leads or whatever, trying to find our guy, is what was the first thing that Falcon said to Cap when he came in at that earlier scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, they go into the Civil War, in the Cap Civil War, and then there's, like, no shit about Winter Soldier, about Bucky. And you're like, what the like, we don't have another movie. Like, we've got to go into Infinity War, so we got to be ready for this shit. If Chris Evans is gone, you might as well have a replacement. Tony Stark is who, what's the name, blames for Cap's death in the comics. So you have that setup piece in some way. Weave that in the story of the films. If he does die or whatever in Cap 3 during the Civil War, whatever, however they end up doing it. And then we move on from there. Then we have Bucky as Cap from there on. Which seems like it's what's going to happen. It's just going to be interesting. My biggest thing now, what a lot of people have been debating, and obviously it's super early kind of, but in the Infinity War, is everybody going to show up? Are the Guardians going to show up? Like, is literally everybody going to show up?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like it's going to have to.
It would have to.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have, like, that's going to be like a big, like, crescendo, fucking, like, woohoo! Here's all the
Budget's
people
gonna
you
be
spent
ridiculous.
20 movies with, and here they are. What was you saying, Jake? My bad.
I just said the budget's gonna be ridiculous.
Oh my god, I can only imagine. Like, what's in that Infinity War is basically gonna be Captain America / Thor / Hulk / Guardians of the Galaxy / Thanos.
Iron Man.
/ like, Jesus Christ. So much / Loki's return / But it was funny because me and Kayla was having a conversation and we was thinking, he was like, how's the next, she was like, is it gonna be another Thor movie? I was like, yeah. And she was like, where are they gonna go with it? And he was like, oh shit, Loki's on the throne. Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Oh yeah, and they also they threw that in there too. They kind of like the Thor subplot. Yeah, it for them to sit there and kind of throw that in there, thanks to his vision or the vision that he ended up getting, and him having to go away to dip in the waters of Lake Minnetonka or whatever,
Right, yeah,
or whatever the hell he did.
The fact that they brought in the scientist dude again, that was kind of cool. I mean, it was cool that he got it.
It was cool, and it was like, here, I need you to strip down and get in this water.
Right.
I
could have did that myself. Why are you here?
Wait a minute.
I just
It's like,
what? Wait a minute.
So no, it's the secret. It's the secret. I promise you. Just go ahead and take your clothes off. I promise you. This is the water. This is the cave. I promise you.
I promise you. Swear.
Go ahead. Just slip it off.
Slower. What?
So,
What?
that was the whole subplot just kind of felt out there.
Yeah, it was weird.
And like, granted, they were trying to set up Ragnarok for Thor 3.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just kind of like, well, I mean, can't y'all do that in your own time? I felt like,
yeah. Do you have to do that here?
So that kind of took away from the movie a little bit.
Right.
It was like it was pretty like I said earlier, the plot was pretty cluttered. They had to get so much out there to set up for future movies.
Yeah. And the fact that they pulled off, like we said before, the fact that the biggest worry basically across the board beforehand was when they were saying like, oh, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's gonna be in, and there's a rumor that War Machine's gonna show up at some point.
I didn't hear
oh,
that.
and it's a rumor that Falcon will probably be in it at some point. And then everybody was like, fuck, this is going to be too cluttered, but they pulled that part off. It's funny because, like, the clutter happened on the storytelling side and not on the amount of people.
Right.
Because a lot of people thought it was going to be the amount of bodies, which was going to be too much, but it actually worked out. I guess part of it helped, too, the fact that it was, like, Ultron had a shitload of robots, so we had to kind of, we didn't match numbers, obviously, by any means, because they didn't have to, because they're way more powerful than most of those robots, but still, it worked out. It balanced out well, so, yeah, the scale didn't tip crazily in either way, so it worked out. But yeah, I think it's enough of Avengers. We've talked it.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, we unpacked it.
I'm sure that was an hour.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm
We're-
sure.
We're right on it. We're like
It was.
at 50 minutes.
Hold on an hour.
Yeah, right. So yeah, for this last few bit, we want to talk about the Suicide Squad.
Class photos.
The class photo of the Suicide Squad, the big reveal. We finally got to see everybody. In
They
their
should have. Yeah, they should
glory.
have. They really should have had like a little sign. You know, like back when elementary school, you would have those class photos.
Yeah.
That little square thing, class of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Mrs. Whatever your teacher was.
Oh my God.
That'd been dope as hell. They had Miss Waller.
That'd been dope. Yeah, they should
And
have
Miss
did that.
Waller right in the center.
Like-
But oh well.
Yeah, but
We got. Well, I mean, we should be thankful for what we got to begin with.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is true. But just looking at it as a whole, I'm gonna start with Jake. Just because he's never been on. This is Jake's first episode. We've been trying to get Jake on the show for
Oh, wow.
so long.
That just occurred to me.
Yeah. We've been doing the show.
Yes,
for 2
you normally
years.
just hear me outside of the show bitching at you about have you even watched Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but anyway.
And we've brought that up multiple times, but it's nice to actually have you on here, so it works. It's awesome. Now you can bitch at us on the air. But what did you think when you saw, like, looking? I know you're obviously you've kept up with Arrow, you've kept up with Flash, you've kept up with all this news and stuff. What did you think when you saw the Suicide Squad? And I know particularly, I want to know what you thought about Deathstroke in particular, as far as like coming from somebody who's watched Arrow extensively.
Deathstroke or Deadshot?
No, Deathstroke.
I also say, did they?
Deathstroke. No, Deathstroke's not.
I don't think Deathstroke. I don't think
Deadshot
Deathstroke.
is.
No, Deathstroke was on there. That was the dude to the far left. That was Deathstroke.
No.
D-
That was
Would
not.
you like me to bring up the article? It says exactly it tells you like.
Everybody kept saying that was like some character named Slipknot. The dude with the cornrows?
Yep.
I thought it was somebody else, not Deathstroke.
Hey, that's what it said. Like on the picture I saw, that's what they said. They said from left to right, and it said Deathstroke, Enchantress, Katana, Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, Deadshot,
Killer Croc.
Killer Croc, and then El Diablo. Like I swear that's what it said on that picture when I saw it. Hold
I
on,
kept seeing- I
gotta
kept seeing-
find that. Unless IGN had a typo, which they can.
Well, yeah, I got it from them that wasn't him.
Hey.
That it wasn't Deathstroke.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's weird.
What the fuck? I swear I saw that and that
Fact checking. Let's
Hold on, I
let's
gotta
get
figure
it.
this out,
Let's
yeah.
get it. Let's get it.
because I immediately got angry when I saw it, and I was like, "That's not what that is." I will punch you in the face.
I was wondering why you felt a certain way before we got to this topic.
Because he looks like I don't know. He looks like he looks weird.
Yeah. It's like
Where the hell is
say why has Deathstroke got cornrows?
Right.
It's like why does anybody got cornrows in this one time? But no, that's
God dang it!
you're looking for the image, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the actual like the article. They just got the stupid news thing. I don't want to take the video.
Like I'm looking at the cast of the movie, and it shows who they play, and Deathstroke's not listed on here.
That's weird, dude. I swear to God that was on there.
Well, you
anyway,
can
okay.
feel better now.
Well, that makes me. I'm good.
Yeah, you can't feel better.
Okay, I approve. Proceed. But yeah. So what did you
So
think?
to answer your question, what I feel about Deathstroke being in the picture, I really don't know how to feel about it because he ain't there.
Because he wasn't in the motherfucker. What did you think though of the cast, Jake?
Well, honestly, I'm not familiar with each one of those, like every one of the characters. There's only a few that I actually recognize,
Right. True.
and I'm really still actually trying to process what I actually feel about how they look.
Right. Now,
Like Harley Quinn, like it seems like they are doing like a different take on the way I'm traditionally used to seeing them look.
true. Now, like we said last week, good friend of the show, Haley, she like keeps up with a lot of the newer, like the Harley Quinn stuff and the way they look now. And that was one of the things she said about when she first saw the Joker. When we talked about that last week, she said it's very close to what Harley looks like now, presently in the comics now.
Right.
Her present day look. So a lot of people were saying like same thing with this. Like that was like when I saw the Suicide Squad thing, like the set pit, like all the characters revealed. The only person I really cared about was I wanted to see what Harley was gonna look like. Other than that, I was like, okay, I know Rick Flag's gonna look like a fucking soldier. Like, I don't care. Like, the other ones that were interesting, obviously, is like Enchantress and Katana, and then the way they did Killer Croc, and then El Diablo.
Right.
Which
Everyone else just looks pretty military.
Say what?
Everyone else just looks pretty military, soldier-like.
Right. Yeah. It's like military soldier-like. Killer Croc kind of looks like the Thing.
I've heard that.
Yeah. El Diablo looks...
I've heard he also looked like one of the or not the Koopas. Yeah,
He looked like one of the little Koopa Troopers off the old Mario
Oh
movie.
my
That's
God.
exactly-
Mario movie.
I was trying to pick
Yeah.
one line that looked familiar to me.
Somebody did a
Exactly
side
what it
by
looks like.
side, and that was funny as hell.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I like it as far as like the way they look. I think they look pretty damn close to what they should look like. I like the way Harley looks. Like I said, you can't really get into too much the way they look. Besides, like, I mean, Captain Boomerang looks right. He looks good. He looks kind of like the Captain Boomerang from like Arrow. Rick Flair's military. Deadshot's still.
Deadshot in full costume with his mask and stuff. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, with
I
the
do.
mask and everything, it looks dope. It does. He looks like he's playing paintball when he doesn't have the mask on. But I guess he kind of looks like he's playing paintball when he has the mask on.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that both ways. If you
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it looked good. I
couldn't stand when folks was like, well, they look like a bunch of cosplay players. Fucking
Isn't that the point?
dude,
What do you think?
they're wearing costumes. They're playing comic book characters.
You just
Where though?
If his cosplayers step their game up.
right, exactly. Like I don't want to say
Say what are you expecting them to wear?
right.
I mean, granted, normally these people wear tights or some shit, or some of them. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Some of them will be wearing tights. Here they are wearing actual clothes,
Yeah, right.
and y'all got the nerve to bitch and complain that they look like cosplayers.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
think
was like, it's alright. Well, I mean, there's just no pleasing everybody. That's bound to happen. Just like with the Joker,
Absolutely.
the shit with Joker.
Mhm.
You know good and damn well those tattoos aren't for real. All like the tweet, like if I can recall correctly, was saying happy anniversary regarding Joker, and then showing that picture.
yeah.
So you know good and damn well that like even if they have some of those tattoos, not all of them are gonna be there. Especially that little shit up here. That makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, just I'm not getting upset about it.
That's what happens
Wow,
on the internet.
let me calm down.
You start typing, dear motherfucker.
Why do y'all think he wasn't in the group photo?
What'd you say?
Why do you think he wasn't in the group photo? Like I noticed he's like the only one missing. It seems.
Yeah.
Well, Joker and Amanda Waller weren't in there. So
Oh yeah, Amanda too.
yeah. So obviously I'm from where I'm from what I gather from this, excuse me, is that Joker is the target for the Suicide Squad.
I like that. I didn't know that. I hadn't even heard of that.
Oh well, it seemed kind of.
That's
I didn't think about it like that.
Well, it seemed kind. That's the only thing that made sense to me. Like, well, why is Joker in a Suicide Squad movie?
Well,
he must be what's being sought after.
Now, see, that was my thing. I was kind of trying to think about it the whole time because I was like, Joker's not in the Suicide Squad. I was like, why the hell?
And he wouldn't
in the movie?
he wouldn't take orders from anybody.
Right? Yeah, that makes sense.
right. I was wondering how that would work out
That
too. It's
actually
like he's
makes
not gonna
perfect
listen to anyone.
Jesus Christ, that's why you're on the show. That makes perfect fucking
That's
sense.
what-
I never even thought about that like that because that was pissing me off. I was like, Joker's not in the Suicide Squad. How are Harley and him gonna interact?
Exactly. That's what I was wondering. And I was like, so then how's what's Harley got to do with this
Right.
then?
Exactly. It's like, oh well, bye, Mr. B. I gotta go to work. Like, what? Like what? Bye, Mr. Jack. I gotta go to work. What? Like, and the Joker's like, all right. Well, like that would be weird. Okay, that makes perfect sense. God damn it. All right.
Well, you have to sound so mad about it.
Right.
You've been-
Deathstroke's not in it. I done figured out why the Joker's in it. I'm good. I'm happy.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm happy with all of it.
This
All
whole world's falling apart.
So what?
What'd you say?
This whole world's falling apart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the whole thing's falling apart. Fuck it. I got nothing left. All my plot points. I mean, all my like talking points are out the window. Because that was the only thing. Like I said, it was Deathstroke. Because I didn't think Deathstroke was in it, so that's what threw me off.
Okay.
I swear to God, it's what they had on there. It was on their header on IGN.
What they probably said was that it was probably a rumor
Okay.
that Deathstroke was going to be
Maybe that's what it
involved,
was, okay.
and you know, like,
Because I was like, why is he?
and you know what happens when you
Cornrows.
play. You know what happens when it comes to rumors and playing telephones. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Well, that works. Woohoo.
Deathstroke with cornrows, but not he'll have.
And he was
It's-
like Native American.
the eye that doesn't work, right? The cornrows are just completely shaved off.
Oh my God.
And with the working eye, he's got cornrows, and then he's all of a sudden getting them kinked out there to look like dreads.
Oh my God, Jesus. And he's like a Native American dude too. That's what threw me off.
I thought he was Hispanic. He looked Hispanic. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well, I know El Diablo.
Joke's on you.
Right.
He's actually Indian.
Really?
No.
I was about to say, God dang it. I quit. This show is over. I'm done. Like, all my talking points are out the window. Fuck it. No, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to Suicide Squad. I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm kind of skeptical. More so on
Right.
this. What'd you say?
I was just saying, right? I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, I'm more skeptical on this more so than I have been on pretty much anything. Any of these other movies. Maybe I'd say Ant-Man I might have been this skeptical. But I guess since that's gone away, this has taken precedence.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy, that level.
No, but those are my dudes. So I was like, even if it's a bad movie, those are my dudes come to life. So fuck, I'll fuck with it. So I wasn't even like skeptical. I was more like everybody else is gonna be skeptical. But I was like, I know this shit is gonna be wild. That's basically my mentality. I was like, this is gonna be weird, but it's gonna be awesome. But I know everybody else is gonna be like, I don't know about this, because I don't know who these people are. But like Suicide Squad, like by themselves in a movie with like the fact that it's big name actors in it, one is a draw to it, but at the same time worries me at the same time. I don't know why that is, but I feel like I don't know why. It's weird that it's like that for just the Suicide Squad. And when I think about Affleck as Batman, I don't have the same reaction
anymore.
Even initially, I was like, shut up, everybody. Just give him a chance, and then we'll figure out what happens. I kind of gave him a leeway, and like with this, it's like I had the leeway initially, but then I'm kind of like, I hope it's good. I hope they can pull off. This is a lot of people. This is like basically having the whole cast of the Avengers that we saw when we watched it this weekend being shown off initially.
Right.
Seeing them side by side and be like, this is what we were worried about. It's going to be too crowded. There's too many people here. I'm starting to have a panic attack. Like, there's too many people looking at me. Like, but at the same time, like showing it off and say, okay, we've got to, because there's so much we don't know. It's kind of like you're trying to make the rest of it fit together, which that Joker shit helped.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Because I was like, who are they gonna fight? Like, I was like, who's gonna be the problem? Who are they gonna go up against? Who is gonna be?
So my thing is too, because I just learned this today, looking up on it, because I haven't looked up too much on Suicide Squad, like this movie coming out, that it's in the same universe as like, you know, Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like, is this how they're just going to introduce the Joker first, and then is he going to have some conflict with Batman afterwards or something? Like,
Well,
That's what the rumors have been.
well, I mean, we've seen Joker in so many different incarnations.
Yeah. And there's even been a bunch of rumors that like Affleck has been on set multiple times. On the Suicide Squad set, he's been seen. So they're like, is he gonna pop up? Like even as just maybe Bruce.
if he's Bruce Wayne, yeah, if he's
Yeah.
just Bruce.
Yeah. Because I mean, they couldn't do anything where the Suicide Squad was like, Joker's kicking our ass. We can't get a handle on him. Let's ask Bruce. Maybe he knows how to fight him. Like, because it shouldn't be established yet, should it? Maybe it
That's what I'm
should.
saying. Like, how's that gonna?
I mean, that's the big thing. Like, should that already be established? If that's already established, then it's like, okay, cool, that makes sense. That like he did Bruce, and then he's like, all right, I'll help you guys out. This is what you need to kind of like. This is the way Joker is. You guys don't get it.
But
at the same time, like,
I mean,
are we that along in the plot yet?
we're not that far from Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy also. So people are already going to know. I mean, even if you didn't watch the cartoon from 10, 15, 20 years ago, even if you never saw the 1988, 87 Batman movie with Tim Burton and Jack Nicholson, even if you never seen the Batman from the 50s or 60s, you are going to have a fresher idea of who the Joker is still, because of the Christopher Nolan Batman series that came out. Not even 2008 was when Dark Knight came out, so it's not even going to be 8 years from now.
I'm not thinking about like from an audience perspective. I'm thinking about like as far as storyline with the movie goes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I understand. That's what I was kind of like. The way I was kind of looking.
But like those other, because I mean, yeah, it's a whole different Batman versus the Nolan one.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to think about. I'm like, at what point in the comic books did he meet Superman the first time? Had he already been battling with the Joker? Yeah. And when you think about it like that, I guess it kind of make it. Technically, yeah, he should have already had his first roll-arounds with the Joker by the time he met Superman.
Especially if Harley Quinn's already going to show as kind of established, and also
because that means she would have had to get into the Suicide Squad
along with storyline.
Yeah.
I am getting tired of origin stories for the same damn characters.
Yeah.
So as far as establishing Batman, like with Batman versus Superman, like we already know who Batman is. It's a guy who's rich, dresses up like a bat. Got it. We get it. We do not need another origin story. We don't need, like, and God forbid Spider-Man. Yeah, they already established Spider-Man when it comes time for the next movie and Civil War and all this stuff.
They're not going to. I've heard they're not. They're just gonna pick up with him as already being Spider-Man, and they're just gonna run with it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And Sony still got him still got the rights to him anyway.
Yeah. Right now.
So yeah. There's no. Please don't.
If I see his parents get killed another time, I bet you he probably likes a Batman. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's like you could do like just like you said with that, just on that point. Fantastic Four is my last straw as far as origin stories.
If I see his parents die one more time, I'm gonna become Batman.
Right.
I'm sick of this.
Right, so sick of this shit. But yeah, Fantastic Four is my last straw as far as like seeing an origin story again. That's it. Again, now obviously new characters, new movies, we have to see them. Black Panther, but after that, that's it.
Established.
Your
people that
do-overs
are already established
are done. Marvel, DC, both of y'all, your do-overs are done. You've used them up. Let's go. We get it. We know who these fucking people are. Even the casual people know who these fucking people are. So
Hulk kind of got rebooted twice in 3 movies.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
In the course of 3 movies, he's been rebooted almost twice. Right. 3 different actors.
Right.
3 different directors. Well, it's not as terrible or the worst thing on cinema like everyone makes it out to be. But
it's like the Eric Bana one.
Talking about the very first.
Ang Lee, Ang
Lee.
Like, he bit off. He got way too ambitious. Yeah. I'll say. I think he was trying to go for one thing and overreached himself. Yeah. Or overreached. Yeah.
Right. But yeah. So with the Suicide Squad, we are pleased you may prove. But awesome movie. If you haven't seen Avengers yet, at this point, you've seen the Avengers.
You've heard it. Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, you've heard it.
At this point, you've heard it. We should have just did like action figures and acted out the whole thing. But yeah, quick tidbits of news. Just news bullshit. If you guys have PlayStations, Guacamelee free this month. Go get that shit. Good ass game. It also got announced that Boba Fett's getting a stone.
PS Plus?
Yeah, PS Plus. PS, yeah. It's also been announced that Boba Fett's getting his own standalone movie as far as like one of the spin-off Star Wars movies. That seems pretty cool. In this fall, my money will be gone because the Disney Infinity Star Wars and Age of Ultron set, that's the one I've been waiting on, and they're going to do it. So like the Disney Infinity 3.0 is literally going to be Star Wars and Age of Ultron. So I can make General Grievous fight Ultron. Hello, sign me up. Or I can make Skywalker fight Iron Man. Why do I still have money? I don't understand why you haven't taken it yet. But yeah, so bunch of crazy shit. We're gonna do our E3 predictions episode soon, and Jake, you gotta get back for that because it's getting geared up. Like I said before, we're gonna do a live episode. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do it because I think we can pull it off just because we're on the East Coast, so time kind of is a little bit later. We usually get off work at a decent hour, so I'm gonna try to do live episodes during E3 a majority of the time, if not all of the conferences, where we'll just basically do a picture-in-picture, watch the conferences, chat, talk about them, and just talk about what happened. Yeah, so it'll just be fun, kind of laid back, a little bit more casual, even though this is casual shit. But yeah.
We're talking recliners.
Right, recliners and beanbag chairs. We're going to do a whole podcast in beanbag chairs.
Yeah, I know y'all sitting up in them chairs. I'm actually laid out on my couch right now.
See, right, that's the way to do it. I'm trying to get a couch system going in here. I'm going to go like to Goodwill or Project Restore and get a couch and like some recliners, and then I'm going to get lav mics, and then we can be way more chill on this show. Because I think it'd be awesome, because I feel like I'm leaning forward a lot. That's why I put the camera up higher, so it wouldn't look as bad. But yeah.
Going bold with everybody taking up the table.
Right, right, exactly. I can't have more than 2 people on this damn show because then otherwise it looks like I'm taking up the room because I got my elbows out and shit because I'm leaning forward. But guys, we got a lot of good stuff coming. Thank you guys for the support so much. You guys loved the Star Wars episode and ate it up. Thank you guys. Jake's gonna be back definitely. Thank you, Jake, for being on with us. We're definitely gonna have you on again soon. Appreciate it. Another week in the hole. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys Friday when you're watching this, obviously.
OAFdiscussions.com.
Yeah,
OAFdiscussions at Gmail.
Yeah, OAF Discussions on Facebook. We have a Facebook group now. Go there, talk to each other. There are members who like the same things, discuss them, talk shit, have fun, tear it up. But yeah, as always, I'm Kid Swift.
This is Thoroughbred Web.
And on the Skype line, we had Jake today. We will see you guys next week. Peace.